Sourcing the right products was a massive challenge because COVID produced so many problems and questions. It asked a lot of questions of people. So we had to source a lot of new products. We had to resource products. We found that because of the demand, there was areas in PPE that we just had to go elsewhere because we couldn't get enough from our existing suppliers. That was a challenge. The competition then, believe it or not, in the last 6 or 8 months, you'd be amazed the amount of people that were never in hygiene or sanitizing or PPE that are now selling sanitizer instead of whiskey or sanitizer instead of gin. So that was a challenge, to compete with major operators that were in different industries that decided to start competing in our business. That was a massive challenge. So I suppose all in all, the answer to that, what was our biggest challenge? Our biggest challenge was sourcing the right products at the right price and competing with a wide variety of new people in the business, and in doing all that, satisfying our customers' needs. We've lost the face-to-face interactive to a point with customers and suppliers. I find that we're heavily reliant now on technology. So for everything we do, technology is required, and that has changed. As everyone has now had to learn how to conduct virtual meetings, and you know that can be difficult from some people. And I suppose the older you are, the more difficult it can be, because you've got to learn new technology, and you've got to. We all know the younger person has a happy knack of being able to pick up technology so much faster. But we've done it, and I think that's been a huge credit to a lot of people in the business, because a lot of our experienced people tend to be on the north side of 45, 50. So they've had to adapt in a way that they've never had to do before. And I think that has changed the way we do business. And I think we've achieved it in a way that we don't have to worry anymore. Like it didn't cost us anything from a point of view of losing business or anything. So I think that's a huge credit to a lot of people, that they just adopted. And that happened, by the way, not only in our business, that happened in so many different areas where people have just had to adopt to new ways of doing business. And that COVID has changed a lot of that. It's basically changed things on a day-to-day basis. And I think going forward, I had, for instance, for the first time in a while, I had a training session yesterday with a nursing home, and it was actually face-to-face, because that's the way they wanted it. But we done the training session, and we complied with all the conditions, wearing the masks and all this social distance. But part of that training session was getting it across to people that the new norm and high standards are now the new norm. So, that has changed, and it'll never go back to what it used to be, I don't think. Well, the positive advice again is moving on from the last question to now. The most positive and the best advice I could give is we need to be proactive. Instead of being reactive, we've learned to be proactive. And now we're going back to what we talked about earlier about sourcing product and stuff like that. That needs to become the norm now. We need to be proactive and how we present ourselves to the customers. We need to again, we need to present ourselves in a way that we didn't before. Best practice is now becoming the norm, and heretofore you would try to raise your standards in particular situations. And as I said yesterday to the people I was talking to, you now raise your standards to a point, but they are the new norm. The normal standard now is the new norm. So best practice is the new norm. So we have raised ourselves, we've raised the bar. And this again, you can apply this to our business and to your business. We've raised the bar to a level now that's high from a point of view of being proactive, being, you know, best practice in cross infection, in infection control, and all this kind of stuff. And we've set standards, and going forward, those standards have got to become the normal. It's a hard question. It's a very good question. And when I say it's a hard question, I mean, it's a difficult one to answer, because everybody's advice in this is going to be different. And is this advice you're giving just based on COVID-19? To me, how I would answer it, I would say this is the best business advice that I have ever received. And I would apply that to COVID-19 too. So I wouldn't be trying to reinvent the wheel for COVID-19 on this. I would say, well, you know what? The advice I was always given in business was you go to business and you go to deal with your customers with integrity. You respect them. You give them the respect you would expect to get from them. You treat them with courtesy, and every time you do a presentation to somebody, you do it in a way that you're respecting them as well. You know, you present yourself properly, you present your products properly, because that's respect. If I come in to see you and I'm not presented properly, and if I don't present my products properly to you, I don't care about that. It means I'm not treating you with respect. And then from a point of view of quality and pricing, the quality of your products again needs to be of the standard that you know, if I'm selling you something, my product should be of the standard based on what I'm asking you to pay me. So that's respect. So I think it's just my best advice to people is, do you know what? Hard work. There is no substitute for that. And then try and reach the highest standards and treat people with respect. And if you do that, if you get up every morning, you go to work and do that, come home that evening, and no matter how successful you are or unsuccessful you are, you've done a good job. And that